Since January 2022, at least 231 victims have fallen for Chinese official impersonation scams, with losses amounting to at least 25 million, with the largest amount in a single case in 2019 being 1.3 million Singapore dollars. In May 2019, a scammer impersonating a Chinese police official contacted me and I talked to him for a month. This is how it started. On the 27th of May 2019, I received a phone call from someone claiming to be from DHL that informed me that a parcel under my name has been sent from Singapore airport to China and it has been stopped at the Beijing border because it contains illegal substances. They implicated that I was involved in a transnational crime. I told the caller that I did not send anything, but she kept insisting that I did. She insisted that I make a police report to the police in Beijing if I was wrongly accused. I told her that I will report it myself to the Singapore police. But she insisted that I report it to the Beijing officials. She even offered to transfer the call directly to the Beijing police. So I thought, why not? And decided to play along. Within 1 minute after I hang up the phone, I received a call from someone who referred to himself as Li Jingguan. He instructed me to go to a secluded area where no one could hear our conversation and to call him Li Xiangsheng over the phone so others will not be suspicious. He asked me for my name, home address, and identification number. Next, he called his subordinate and made sure I could hear everything. This was what I heard. 喂，王警官，你帮我查一下这个人，王伟成，身份证号码3961417。好，谢谢。After instructing his subordinate to check up on me in the system, Lin Jingguan questioned me about my occupation, age, and many more. After 5 minutes, I heard a knock on the door. It was his subordinate. 李警官，你叫我查那个王伟成身份证号码3961417，他因国际犯罪而被通知。啊，是啊，那我应该通知江检察官。After that scene of acting, Li Jingguan tried to scare me by sending me a police warrant for my arrest, with the details that I provided him. He told me that the Beijing police would come to Singapore to catch me as I am wanted for some transnational crime. I pretended that I was afraid and told him that I was innocent and that I was framed. I also informed him that I will inform the Singapore police, but Li Jingguan told me that I should not inform the Singapore police as it is out of their control. Li Jingguan then sent me a photo of a Chinese guy and asked me if I know the guy in the photo. After denying knowing the guy, Li Jingguan revealed that the guy in the photo is a criminal mastermind that they suspected was my boss. After I reverse image searched the image, it turns out that he was just a random safety engineer in China. Li Jingguan also sent me a photo of several people and asked me if I know any of them. After I said no, he said that they are all accomplices who are also working for the mastermind. One of the guys looked like the villain from Kung Fu Hustle. After I reverse searched the photo, it turns out they were just drug fugitives. Of course, I said I was innocent, and Li Jingguan then told me that he has to report it to his boss. He pretended to receive a call from his boss. I could only hear what Li Jingguan said and did not hear anything from his boss, so I suspected that he was actually talking to himself. This was what I heard. 喂，队长。是，我这里有一个逮捕命令，但是我相信他是清白的。检察官，你相信我吧？我李警官本人在你手下工作，有犯过错吗？检察官，你一定要相信我，他是清白的。I was very touched that he stood up for me in front of his imaginary boss. So after Li Jingguan ended his call with his boss, he told me that he trusted me, but he needed more evidence for me to show his boss, so that his boss will trust me. I must cooperate with him and be honest with him so that he can put in a good work for me and his boss will help me investigate my case. He instructed me to call him 4 times a day at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 7 p.m., and 11 p.m. every day at a private location to report to him what I was doing in order to build the trust with his boss. He even asked me to set an alarm on my phone to remember the reporting times. I asked Li Jingguan how long I had to report to him. Was it 1 week or 1 month? But he said that it was up to his boss, and if I was not cooperative, he would come to Singapore and catch me and bring me back to China. I guess this was a tactic the scammers was trying to use to build my trust in him and to follow his instruction, so that I will do what he says in the future. He asked me how many bank accounts I have and asked me how much money I have in my account. I told him that I only had one account and there was 800,000 in that account. I told him that I was the son of a very rich businessman and that my father transfers me $5,000 every week. After hearing this, Li Jingguan told me to inform him whenever I wanted to spend large amounts of money from my account, as he claimed that the amount was under supervision of the Beijing police. So the phone call lasted for about 3 hours and I was instructed to keep our conversation to myself and not inform anyone about this. He also told me not to pick up any unknown number that called and inform him of any strange number that called me. I think the scammer did this to prevent me from talking to anyone who may inform me that Li Jingguan was actually a scammer. So I told him I received a call from an unknown number to see how he would respond. He told me that he was unsure and had the cyber security branch to look into it, when the answer would have appeared when he just looked it up on Google. That night, I forgot to report to Li Jingguan at 10 p.m, so he scolded me and he referred to himself in third person while doing so, which I found quite hilarious. I just told him that I forgotten the time, but to be honest, I was just too lazy to entertain him. The next day at 11 a.m, I did not report to him again, so he asked me what happened and why I did not cooperate. I told him that I was in the military and I was very busy, so I could not find a private place to call him. I also told him that I had a military exercise called Exercise Nabe Jibai, which was why I was very busy. He told me that his boss is unsatisfied with my cooperation and if I continue to miss the reporting times that he will catch me. I apologized again and thanked him for his understanding. Li Jingguan also asked me where my personal information may have been leaked, so criminals may use my information to commit crime. I told him that I provided my personal information at Istana at Oxley Road last year to gamble. And I also went to the night safari at Johor Bahru to play computer games with my friend. Li Jingguan said very good and he will help me document this in his report. He asked me what I was doing that day and I told him that I was still busy with Exercise Nabe Jibai and will be busy with the exercise Pukimakau Babi Anjing the next day. As Li Jingguan is a very understanding officer, he said okay. So remember when Li Jingguan said that I have to get his approval before I can spend large amount of money from my bank account? I decided to give it a test. I informed Li Jingguan that I wanted to invest 20,000 in gold because my friend told me that gold is worth investing in. I also sent him photos of the gold that I wanted to purchase. Unfortunately, Li Jingguan did not want me to spend the money and discouraged me from investing large amounts of money in gold as he wanted more of the money for himself. That day, I missed another reporting time again and Li Jingguan threatened to catch me back to Beijing. I told Li Jingguan that I was scared and pled for him to reply to me. I did not want to be arrested and brought to Beijing. He reminded me that I was a suspect and I should be cooperative. Some days when I went shopping, I would take photos of regular items and inflate their prices when I tell Li Jingguan that I wanted to buy them. When he learned that I was out on the street, he would always tell me to be careful of my safety. Such a sweet guy. This went on for another 2 weeks, but Li Jingguan never asked me for money and my patience was running out. So I kept finding excuses not to report back to him. There were many times where he threatened me that his boss was unsatisfied with my cooperation and that he was gonna be arresting me that day. I almost asked him if I should pack my luggage while waiting for him to arrive. There were also times where I wanted to scold him, but eventually I always apologized. As my cooperation with Li Jingguan decreased over the next few days due to boredom, Li Jingguan also got more suspicious of me. One day he asked for a photo of my identification card, so I had to edit a photo of a Chinese guy on one of Singapore's most popular IC. As Li Jingguan got more suspicious of me as the days passed, he kept asking me for photos of my whereabouts to prove that I was not lying to him, just like a trusting girlfriend. So one day I sent him a photo of me eating breakfast with my dad. But he suspected that I was lying to him, so he told me to take a photo of the hawker center. After I sent the photo of the hawker center, he was even more suspicious, so he asked for a selfie. This was when I asked him for a selfie too, so that we can exchange selfies. After he refused to exchange selfies, he threatened me again, so I pled for mercy. However, one day when Li Jingguan threatened to catch me in Singapore again, I had enough and I decided to call him out and ask him for evidence that he could come to Singapore to arrest me. He said that if I do not believe him, he has no solution to persuade me, so I decided to mock him. And I told him that if I do not see any evidence by 9 AM the next day, I will not report to him anymore. So he told me no problem. The next day, Li Jingguan did not deliver anything, so I continued to mock him. But Li Jingguan soon blocked my number, so I used another phone number to scold him for being such a terrible scammer. So what's the moral of the story? Is it don't pick up calls from suspicious phone numbers? Don't talk to scammers? I'm not sure.